Oh, I love that we're in here. Do you see us live in Instagram?
Hey everyone. Hey everyone. Welcome to the live. Opening the Emotional Entrepreneur Show. Welcome, welcome. We are so happy to be here with all of you. And now we are streaming directly from Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We are so happy to be here with all of you today. Jen?
Yes, we've been busy trying out the tech and all this stuff. It's always fun because you're trying to figure out where is the sound coming from, what do we need to mute. But yeah, for a long time, people have been asking like, hey, are you going to go on LinkedIn? And so now StreamYard has the capability to stream to Instagram, which was our primary platform. So now we're able to do it on other platforms, and so this is really fun. Bear with us if there's any tech glitches, but at the end of the day, all we're striving for is to provide valuable, helpful information and have fun, and we're just grateful that you guys are here with us.
Absolutely. We are so happy that you're all here with us. Again, just work with us, bear with us. We are trying to figure out this tech. So, and we want to make sure that we are seeing your comments as we go through the show, because that's what's really important here, is that we engage, right? As we talk about these subjects regarding entrepreneurship and the emotional aspects that can really help both support and sometimes get in the way. We want to talk about this, but more importantly, we want to hear your tips. So hello all. Hello, Bibiana. I see you out there. We see you out there. Hello, hello. Thank you so much. And let's get right into this. So today we're going to be talking about the loneliness and the solitude that can be felt as an entrepreneur. Oh, gosh. This can be heavy sometimes, especially when you're out there and you're trying so hard and you just feel lonely. You feel a bit isolated. Have you ever felt that way, folks out there? If you have, chime in. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you've done in regards to really clear up or connect with community and really change that for yourself, because it can be, or it can feel isolating, but it doesn't have to. Jen?
Yeah. I hear this sometimes, and from other people. I don't know if it's because I'm a hermit, but I don't feel alone. I understand, because when you think about it, even from a logistics standpoint, when you're at a job or you're in a work environment, you're constantly going in, right, into an office. And I experience this when I go to the Denver office and things like that. It's different, right? There's people, you're saying hi, good morning. You run into, like, in front of the Keurig as you guys make your coffee, you're chit chatting. You can kind of knock on someone's door. There is that physical, interaction. Yeah. And there's face to face. It's so different when you are at home, or especially when many of us were having to learn how to, for the first time, go completely virtual. For me, I've been virtual since 2005. I mean, it wasn't like full time, but I mean, I was going to GoToMeeting and different platforms and Skype and stuff. So I don't know, I've gotten used to it over the years. But I will say one of the biggest things that has helped me is because my friends are mostly entrepreneurs anyway. So we are connected in some form or fashion, whether it's through an app, whether it's, Zoom or whatever. I feel like we communicate in all other different ways versus the actual phone. So because of that, I think it really will come down to the type of people that you surround yourself with, and how often you're able to lean on each other when you have ideas, when you just need to, like, shoot the shit and just talk, so it really depends on, Summer loves this word community, and she's so amazing at relationships and community, and it really, really, really is going to come down to how well you have built that around you.
Absolutely. I love that, Jen. Jen is kind of a little bit of a hermit. She does stay in her space, and she loves to get creative, and that's cool. And as she said, Jen has been in the sphere of entrepreneurship for years. So this is not something new to her, and she's built up her community. She really has cultivated meaningful and authentic relationships. So I want to read one of the comments from one of the folks out there. It's Bibiana, and she says, I've turned into the weird person who chats in the veggie aisle at the grocery store with the random stranger. Sometimes you just got to get the connection where you can.
Yeah, at least this is still a random stranger and not at the veggies.
Right?
Good.
That's a really good point, Jen. Hello, Carrot.
We meet again.
Oh my goodness, exactly. So Jen is absolutely right. I always talk about community, and the things that we do as well brings the community together. So Jen and I have worked in the field of not just entrepreneurship, but program development, as well as event development and production. And so we love actually producing events where we can bring people together, and not just bring them together for that transactional type of connection. Jen's heard me say this many times before. I know it's ad nauseum. However, it is so important to me, and it really means something to me, that we're just not like, hey, here's my business card. Yeah, we'll chat. No, no. It's like, I don't. No.
That's my favorite gift.
Okay, if you haven't joined us before, we love to laugh. We love to dance it in. We love to dance the show out. We love being here so much every Tuesday. It was Thursday. Now it's every Tuesday. And we'll be coming live to you every Tuesday. But here's the thing. We absolutely love bringing together to create and form authentic relationships, meaningful relationships. I know that people who come to our events have walked away saying, you know what, one of the most amazing things is I feel connected. I feel connected with other people. And so to me, that is so exciting, knowing that they've started to build or have cultivated new relationships. And that is so key to reducing that loneliness and isolation. If you feel lonely, if you feel isolated, there are tips that we're going to give you to really understand what you can do to get connected, to build those meaningful relationships. So, and Vivian also says that's a ghost town for reals. Like when you're out there and you don't have those connections and you feel isolated, it can be very, very isolating. So one of the things that you can do is create that support system. If you are around people that aren't entrepreneurs, that don't really understand entrepreneurship, are you really going to ask them, hey, by the way, what are your thoughts about A, B, or C? Oh, it's cleared up, Jen.
I know. I was like, do I need to do the, I was like, come on, focus, but please continue.
So one of the things you can do is get out there. Start really connecting with your entrepreneurial community. One of the great places, or many of the great places, are LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. Yes, TikTok. There are a lot of entrepreneurs on TikTok, but I love LinkedIn as well because I have have kindled a great support system there. So Bibiana says that's the toughest part, finding the like-minded tribe. And I agree with that. I think that could be difficult, but it doesn't have to be, right? Because there are so many different platforms, so many different ways of getting connected. And I think that this doesn't have to be via entrepreneurship, but it can be a hobby as well. So say, for instance, you roll into a hobby and something that you really like, and you start talking about entrepreneurship. Wow, you might just discover that somebody else is an entrepreneur, or there could be not just social media sites and platforms that you can connect with people, but get out into the community. As Jen said, she goes to a Denver office, and there she's got person-to-person connection. She's got in-person connection. And sometimes that does make a difference, especially if we're looking for socialization. And I know for many of us, sitting at home, working in a silo, working alone, yes, that's going to be very isolating. It's going to feel very lonely.
Oh,
So
look at the little sad emojis.
I know. We've got people joining us from LinkedIn right now, from Instagram,
Yay.
and maybe even from YouTube, because we're streaming live there too. If you haven't checked out our YouTube page, it is the Emotional Entrepreneur YouTube page. But again, there's so many different avenues to getting connected, to sharing conversation, sharing ideas. That is one of the biggest things I know for me when I started out in entrepreneurship. And yes, how many of you have been out there that have transitioned from a very, traditional job, so to speak, to entrepreneurship? That was me. That was me. And I had to, over time, really connect with people via social media, in person, that were entrepreneurs, that were doing it, that were creating a business. And it looks very different from going to a traditional job. So you wouldn't necessarily ask somebody who's working a traditional job, hey, by the way, how can I do A, B, and C? No, you want to get connected with your entrepreneurial community. And I can tell you on LinkedIn, now that we're streaming on LinkedIn, I'm so excited that I have such an incredible community here, as well as on Instagram. And there's so many questions that I might have. And guess what? Just being part of that community and seeing posts, reading posts, watching videos, being part of the lives, being part of panels, guess what? There's a lot of interaction, a lot of information, and a lot of places and people that I can go to exchange information and ideas. Jen?
Yeah, I was thinking about even like how different the world is in regular work structure, versus like entrepreneurship. Like the Denver office was all totally off yesterday, and I was like, yeah, I'm still doing my meetings. Like, yeah, I work weekends and nights. Like it's a different mindset, right? You're on a different schedule and a clock, and it's not a bad thing. It's just like I don't follow the holidays. It's like if I have a project or something I want to work on, I'm doing it. It's not like I follow the days off. And even just when I notice those slight things and I hear it in conversations, I'm like for example, you could be just walking anywhere or you're with other people and we're like, oh, are you off today? And it's like the weirdest question, right? And Summer, do you ever get that? Like people go like, oh, are you off today? Are you working today? You're like, and you want to go, I'm like, I work like all the time, but by choice.
Yeah.
It's a different mindset. It's just kind of funny, like when I make those types of observations. But one of the things I was going to add to when you were talking about building the community and connecting with people, I will share that some of the people that I've become friends with for many years now, we were part of a community. So for example, Summer mentioned, connect with people like on, whatever platform you're on. So if you're on LinkedIn or even Facebook, do you belong to a Facebook group? And sometimes those places have either networking events online or even in real life. Sometimes people will go like, hey, is anybody in the Atlanta, Georgia area? Is anybody in Southern California? And when those things pop up, that's a perfect opportunity to take advantage of like, hey, maybe I can meet some people. And I'm telling you, when you do that, it's so cool, especially if you came from a community group that was online, that was on a social platform. Because when you meet in real life, and Summer is so great at this, like she's organized events. She did one in DC a couple of months ago before the end of the year. And it's amazing. It's like, especially if you come from the same community and you may be following the same coach or mentor that's leading the mastermind or whatever the group is, you all come together, you already have a shared value in whatever that group was about. So you have that in common already, right? Because you are coming from the same community. So when you meet in real life, it just solidifies a lot of the beliefs, the things that you have, ideas, and then you solidify those friendships because now it's like, hey, oh my gosh. And then you're able to connect on a real personal level, face to face. And that's how a lot of my friendships are formed. I went to many people I knew from even, 7, 8, 10 years ago. We were in a group, and I'm still in this group. I'm not as active, but the coach that was leading it, she put on conferences, and I would fly to it like every year. And it was such an amazing, tight-knit community that when you have a community that's very, very active online and everybody's engaging and sharing ideas, and this is for entrepreneurial women, coaches, speakers, and authors. And then when we went to meet in real life at the conference, it was like everybody knew each other, but we were all meeting each other for the first time. And some of those people are still friends of mine today. And so you have to ask yourself if this is something that you're dealing with, where you feel alone or you're feeling isolated. Ask yourself, are there activities that you're saying no to? Are there opportunities that you could be saying yes to that will help you get in front of other people to build these friendships? Because your relationships and friendships with entrepreneurs are very, very different than relationships and friendships with people that don't function in this world. And you're gonna want to have this if you're going to stay in this entrepreneurial world, because there are topics and subjects and situations that people that are entrepreneurs deal with, and will have a completely different perspective and mindset on, versus people who have no idea what you're dealing with. Very, very different. I'm not saying get rid of your other friends, but I'm saying, think about it, because sometimes some of the conversations or some of the topics that we do here, or concerns that we hear, are that people feel they don't have people to talk to that understand them. Yeah. But if you're not putting yourself in situations that allow you to meet people who will meet you where you're at, that understand your entrepreneurial dreams, this is where you could start, where you can meet other people who understand your journey.
Absolutely. I love all of that, Jen. That is so valuable.
Thanks.
Jen, can you tell them a little bit about how we met? Because I think this is a great example of connection, of somebody who was an entrepreneur who did an introduction. There's so many variables and facets to us meeting, how we've worked together, continue to work together today. And it's been over 3 years?
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. Yeah. Let me read to be honest comment real quick. She said, once you've had beer and wings with people, it's definitely a chill vibe, right? Because food breaks bread, literally and figuratively, and it builds community. And so, absolutely, Bibiana.
Absolutely.
So the story is, Summer and I met because we have a mutual friend. Ironically, and I'll let you talk about how you met LaRon. Okay. I met LaRon in 2010. I went to a birthday party at this club in San Diego. It's like 2010. Yeah. So a mutual. I went with a friend of the birthday person. I just met that person. So the person having the birthday, I didn't really know her, but I went, and then LaRon was there, and then I met LaRon, and then we stayed in touch. So this was like, my gosh, it's almost 14 years ago. 14 years ago.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. 14 years ago. And so we have stayed in touch here and there. And then obviously, because of social media, and whatnot. And then, so one day, he messages me, and we don't talk often. It's like here and there, you have some friends that you talk to here and there. Many years go by. And he said, hey, I got to introduce you to my friend, Summer. I think you'd be a great person to be on her podcast, because Summer hosts the Core Women podcast, KORE. And I was like, okay, yeah, just, put me in touch. And this is during when the world didn't know what the hell was going on with stuff in China and the bat and all that.
It was just beginning. It was just like, there were little, there's some news about it. It's just starting. So she's got this introduction. Take it away, Jen.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, great. So I get in touch, and I'm DMing her in LinkedIn. And then Summer, again, for those of you who don't remember, Summer is in DC. I'm here in LA, Orange County. And so she happened to be here in California promoting her book. It's over there on the bookshelf. And so she was promoting her book because she just was on this, this tour and whatnot. And so she's like, okay, well, when I get back, maybe we can connect. And it was literally like in the middle of like before California went on shutdown.
Oh my gosh, it's March 13th. Like like right at the beginning, the world was shutting down. I'm flying everywhere. I'm like, oh gosh. And I'm going to all these hubs, LAX, I'm going to Washington, where all the big things are happening. So go on.
Yeah, so we finally connected after she got back to the East Coast. And so we got on a Zoom call. And what Summer does is she vets people. So you can't just be on the Core Women podcast. She got to vet you. Yeah, you got to make sure like you qualify. But we totally hit it off. We were on the Zoom for like a couple hours and it was so fun. It was like kindred spirits, sisters getting reconnected, and we're both Aries, so there you go.
So it was like fire. It was
fire. And so it was really cool. And then eventually I got we did the first podcast, and then I'm fast forwarding this part, and then a couple months later she's like, hey, do you want to come back and talk about, be a guest again? And I was like, yeah. So we did the second episode. And then during the summer of like 2020, she has this brilliant idea. So I'll let you take over this part.
No, go ahead. I like listening to your story.
I'm driving, and then mind you, from where I'm at to go down to like past LA usually takes like an hour because the world was shut down. I could get there in 20 minutes. I'm driving, and she calls me, and she's like, hey, I have this idea. She's like, yeah, I want to build out this thing. I'm thinking about doing this other show. And she's like, you'd be the perfect person because, I need somebody who can talk about money. And then we have, there was some synergy. I want you to think about it. She just kept saying, I want you to think about it. But because I loved her so much already, I was just like, no, I want to do it. I'm doing it. I don't care what is involved. I want to do it because I just knew. So, and then so that was in the summer of 2020. And then we did a lot of preparation. We're trying to figure out, all right, great. We said, yes. Now what are we doing? What are we talking about?
Yeah. What are we going to do? What is this platform? What is the foundation? All the stuff you do to build a program, a business, a show, a live show.
Right. And so then finally it was September. Oh, I forget the date. I think it was September 12th. We did the first show for the Life, Love, and Money. And then obviously we rebranded a couple months ago, but that was it. So that was like 3.5 years ago.
Wow.
I cannot believe that much time has passed.
That is incredible.
It doesn't feel like it.
I know. It
feels like a year.
Like that. And I have to go back into your story and just touch on something. So LeRon, I believe that I was introduced to him by Sajal Thacker. Now Sajal, I think that's how we got introduced. And
makes sense because LeRon was in the Bay Area at that time.
Both in the Bay Area, both on LinkedIn. So you see how the connection works there. It's like social media, LinkedIn. They met there, I believe. Maybe they met in the Bay Area. Now, it's just about that connection. It's about having those conversations. And then guess what? All of a sudden, somebody wants to introduce you to somebody else, and then somebody else, and this is how I met the incredible Jen Fontanilla. So we've been together. We've been working, on a lot of different things, a lot of different programs, a lot of different events together, a lot of lives. We have this live show every week, but we've done live panels together. We've done live and digital events together. I mean, we've done so much. It's incredible in a 3.5 year period. And I think because one, we could bounce things off of each other. And trust us, when I say we text each other or we WhatsApp each other, we do, just to bounce things off of each other. And it's so nice. And it's not that we don't have a pool of other folks, but it's really nice to have that go-to person, right? And I think that Jen and I have served in that role for each other for these last 3 years. And it's been really nice to have that person as we build out and just, having somebody to go to kind of just bounce a question off of that you're curious about regarding entrepreneurship, regarding a program, regarding maybe something technical that maybe I haven't been exposed to before and she has. Jen is also a very creative person and she's a graphic designer. And so if I have questions about graphic design or if we need something for the show or for something that we're doing, Jen will create those dynamic, graphics for us. So it's been an incredible journey. So that is an example of how when you connect and you start talking to people on social media, in person, and how they want to support you. And Jen and I are all about like, oh my gosh, I think we know somebody. I think we can, connect you with A, B, or C. We are all about it because we are in this together. You are not alone. We do not want you to feel isolated. So we're giving these very practical examples of how you can connect with others via social media, via in person. I'm going to run down a quick list here because I think that's really important in relation to how you can feel less isolated, because it's a choice, folks. It really is a choice. You don't have to be in that space.
You're right. You know what? You're so right. It is a choice. And it made me think about like when there are live events, and Summer and I have marketed a couple. If you're feeling lonely, you have to take action. If you don't want to stay in that space, and you definitely have to take action and choose for yourself what it is that you want. And if you are feeling lonely, but you are not going to events, then what outcome are you expecting? I think that's really important for you to ask yourself, like, well, I don't want to, well, I feel alone. Well, I don't want to buy a ticket and go to that event. So, well, then what do you expect? Just accept the reality that you're making the choice and decision to stay isolated. You have to change the pattern. You have to change what it is that you're doing if you want it to turn out a different way. And so when there are events, when, free or paid, whatever, I don't care what it is, but you have to choose. You have to choose. You can't be a victim and go like, I'm so lonely. Nobody wants. No, we have to take action and take bold action and make the decision like, hey, I'm going to go out there. I can't tell you how many times, and I'm an ambivert. Summer and I are ambiverts. Like, we can be around a lot of people, but then when we're done, we're like, goodbye, I'm going back to my cave. Like, I don't want to be completely isolated, but I don't need to do after hours either. Okay. I already did that in my 20s.
But I'm laughing. Yeah, I'm laughing. I have to interject here because Jen and I are so much the same. We're like, okay, let's turn it on. Hi. And then we're ready to turn it off. We're like, we're out. We're done. We don't need to go party.
I'm out. I'm done. So yeah, it's like you have to make that decision if you are going to change that. Because if you want to be connected to people, it takes connection in real life and offline. I say nowadays it's a combination of both. Yes. it's offline and online if you want that to happen. I mean, and this is why I love that Summer started the story of how we got connected. It was both a combination of offline and in person. And as I shared with you how I met LaRon 14 years ago at a birthday party. You just never know where the threads of life are going to take you.
Oh,
so
I love that.
Yeah, so just yeah, I know. I just came up with that.
So good. Gem. Yeah. A gem right there.
Right. So if there is an event, entertain it. Just go check it out and invest in yourself and give yourself that opportunity. And the other thing I was going to add is like, I can't tell you how many things I typically do by myself. Like I have gone to so many meetups, so many conferences, so many networking events by myself. I'm comfortable with that though. And if you're not, then either bring a friend with you if that's going to be your security blanket. If not, then get to know somebody online in the community, in the group, or whatever it is that you are. If there's somebody, do you notice that they're engaging with your post all the time and they happen to be going to the same event, then ask like, hey, are you going to that meetup? Hey, are you going to that conference? Hey, are you going to this event? Do you want to go together? Or, do you want to meet up over there? And because sometimes we need to feel safe, and you don't want to go alone, that's fine, but don't make it an excuse like, well, I don't know anybody. Well, that is the whole reason for going, so that you know somebody. So yeah, just think about that. I think it's important for us to overcome that fear of I don't know anybody, or overcome that fear of I'm alone. But we do have to take action, and there's so many different ways that you don't have to make it a scary situation. Look at it. This is where I'm going to ask you to shift your perspective and look at it as hey, this is an adventure. Stay curious and go like, hey, who can I meet? Hey, who am I going to meet that we have similar interests? And hey, who can I meet that might be my potential accountability partner when I have ideas to share, or they can help me, and we can help each other.
Right. Oh my gosh. Accountability partner. You don't have to stay in that space. I will add this. So if you are one of those folks that, are a little shy and it's a little hard to get out, I understand that. I understand. As Jen said, take that accountability partner, or that partner with you to an event. But I would say maybe another way of starting out is meeting somebody one-on-one for coffee.
Yeah.
Scheduling those
totally like relax and nothing crazy.
Absolutely. Meet them at a public space and get some coffee or tea. Just do it on a one-to-one basis. Build that into your schedule, maybe a couple of times, 2 or 3 times a week, and have some meetings that are back to back. Every Wednesday, I don't go out, but I have meetings scheduled that are back to back, 20-minute introduction calls. I absolutely love these intro calls because it gives me a taste of like, oh, this is who that person is. Well, we could possibly connect more. We could possibly grow our relationship. We could possibly meet in person. It actually took, how long did it take from us being introduced to actually us meeting in person? Maybe a year and a half, 2 years?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was something crazy that long.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years, and when we did, it was like we knew each other.
That was what was so crazy. It was like she picks me up from at the San Jose airport. Yeah, and it was we had done like a bazillion calls, and I can't tell you
WhatsApps and everything.
Days worth of WhatsApp messages. We had done, all kinds of things already. So by the time we met in real life, it was like I just hadn't seen her in a long time.
Right. It's amazing how you can really connect with folks, create those authentic, again, I'm going back to this, those authentic and meaningful relationships. They're not transactional. They can be meaningful. And we cultivated that over a 2-year period. And then we met in person, and it was just natural. It was very organic for us. And we were just like, oh my God, this is so exciting. And it hasn't changed. Like in 3.5 years, it hasn't changed. We absolutely, we've grown together. We've learned new things. We continue to invest in one another, and we do introductions for one another as well, because we want to make sure that person succeeds, not just working with us, but outside of that, and are introduced to other folks as well, so that they can be, introduced to other groups, other people that might also help support their business. So a couple of tips, because we are going to wrap up here pretty soon because we're at the 33-minute mark. A couple of tips I want to give that we haven't mentioned. If you want to curate some of those relationships in a different way, find a co-working space. I think that's a really great opportunity to meet other entrepreneurs, a co-working space. Again, we mentioned join entrepreneurial groups, join groups on social media, find an accountability buddy that maybe can go with you to different events. I mean, there's so many things that you can do to really reduce that feeling of isolation and loneliness. If you have any questions for us, Jen and I are also coaches, and we work together. If you have any questions for us, if you want us to answer a question on our weekly show, please submit or DM those questions to us, because we really want to be here to support you and answer the questions that you're interested in. Jen, what is your nugget for the day?
Ew, I don't know. I'm thinking of so many things. I think if you're looking, if you're in a situation where you're trying to look for people to connect with, I think it's important that you get clear with who you want to be connected to. So for example, this is the first example that popped into my head. So if I'm a financial advisor, which I used to be, I might ask my friends or like look around like for, hey, do you know any like great CPAs or tax advisors that you think I would, get along with, I could connect with and vibe with. And I would just start there because it's a warm introduction. So now it's not like this totally cold, like you don't even know who this person is. And then you just never know what the most you will either get out of it is, it's a great synergy. You might do potential work together. You might go ahead and take it further and like, hey, let's grab coffee. And there have been times when I have gotten connected with people and it was like, get me off the phone. Like I can feel it. There's just no energy. It's weird. I had this one phone call with this one dude, like it was like the longest 9 minutes of my life. And I was asking questions. I was being, my happy self. And you're not going to connect with everybody. And that's right. Okay. That's okay. It's kind of like dating. You either find out it works and it doesn't work. And I think you need to give yourself that grace that you don't have to feel like you're going to be best friends like me in summer with everybody you meet. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think start there. Just be clear on who would be a great person that you could connect with, because you never know. Some of these professional connections, they turn out to be some of your best friends.
Absolutely.
They really do. And you you end up not just only talking about business and ideas and stuff like that. You talk about personal stuff because there are certain particular struggles and situations that entrepreneurs go through that you want to ask other entrepreneurs, like, hey, how would you handle this? I don't know how to deal with XYZ. So, but yeah, start there. Ask people that get clear on who is a great person that you could get connected to, and then 2, ask some of your friends like if they know anybody that fits that criteria.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for those great tips. So I think my nugget is really come up with a game plan. Come up with a game plan. Come up with a strategy as to how you want to connect with others. Come up with objectives such as, I'm going to carve out this much time on Wednesday, on Tuesday, and schedule those times into your schedule to meaningfully reach out to people, whether that is for a coffee, whether that is for a Zoom meetup, whether that is for a quick phone call. Because here's the thing, folks, I sometimes on Zoom, I'm like, I've had enough. I don't want to put on makeup that day. I don't want to, there's certain things that I'm like, oh, okay, Zoom fatigue, right? So I've switched some of my things to phone calls just to connect. 20 minutes, just to get the idea and flavor of somebody that maybe would be a great somebody to gain some ideas from, to connect with, to build a relationship with. So it's not transactional. It's really just finding out about that person. So build that into a schedule. Figure out the objectives to meet your goals in relation to how you want to build your community so that you don't feel so isolated and so alone. And if you are, and this is the last thing I will mention, if you're feeling really isolated and really alone, seek some help. It's okay to go seek some help, whether that be a coach or a counselor. So that is great. How I'm going to close this. Any last comments, Jen?
No, I just thought I'm actually meeting Yermi for Zoom later.
Nice.
So I just thought of an idea. If you are somebody who's very active on social media or posting and you have pretty good engagement, take a look at the comments. And if you're in the same post and you're all commenting, a lot of times what I see, especially on LinkedIn, somebody will reach out to me in the DMs and they'll be like, hey, I love what you said, or I love what blah, 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 blah. And then they'll like, hey, I'd love to stay connected. And then I usually will answer back like, yeah, I would love to as well. And then, let me know. And then it always ends up leading into, hey, let's, do a virtual coffee. And it's the easiest way to do it, right? Because if you already saw the person's content, you already kind of see how they interact based on what they're saying. But it's such a low barrier to entry in terms of like, it's safe. You get to find out, from the safety of your home, like you can have a virtual, conversation. And then sometimes depending, geographically, if it makes sense, like sometimes it leads to meeting in real life. But Yeah, take a look at some of your social media engagements. And if there's that person, yeah, I love what they always say.
Yeah.
That is the person you want to try to connect with, because you already are engaged with their comments and the things and their ideas and the thoughts that they share. That's the person that you can start with. Like, hey, I've been watching your comments. I love what you share whenever you post. I'd love to connect further. That's it. That's the simplest DM you can send, and then go like, hey, let's do a virtual coffee chat. And you just never know. Stay curious. Stay curious, and you just never know where it's going to take you.
And I love that. I absolutely love that.
And you guys got triple nuggets today.
I know. I'm going to piggyback on this really quickly. So
quadruple nuggets.
I can't help it. I just, we can't help ourselves. So we are going to wrap this up. I promise. But I want to kind of piggyback onto this. So I had a guest on Core Women, on the Core Women podcast. And I looked at her stuff and I'm like, I don't know about this. It's really, I'm just kind of curious about this. So I told myself, I literally stopped myself and I said, listen, Summer, be open to this experience, be open to it. So I actually watched her stuff and I watched her videos and I thought, you know what? I want to watch this again. I want to watch her videos again. And I want to see, and I want to view it in a different light. Just sit there and be absolutely open to it. And when I was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. I'm so excited to talk to this person. These are the questions that I want to ask. It just, the way we view the world, what we are allowing ourselves to be open to makes such a huge difference. So thank you for that example, Jen. Thank you all for being here and joining us. I'm so excited that we are on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and on YouTube at the same time and without feedback and weirdness. So we are figuring out the tech. Oh my God, we're so excited. And again, if you don't know, we dance it in and we dance it out. If you have any questions for us, please, please, please DM us. We want to hear from you. Are you ready to dance this out, Jen?
Let's go.
All right, let's do this. Okay, come on. Let's see what it's doing. Here we go.
We're the hosts. We're the guests. We're the AV. The janitor. Thank you for being here.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Mwah, 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 mwah. Take care and have a great week. Bye, everyone.